Macy Moon's in front, 100 to go. Have a look at Bold Soul. Have a look indeed. From last to first in a couple of bounds. Bold Soul from Macy Moon, Johnny Pinch.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot, with Johnny Walter. He's on time. He's with us in person, not just...
On time? You just abused me for being late. Don't duck and weave. I'm only 20 minutes late as opposed to an hour and 20 minutes late this week. It's pretty good for me.
No traffic in the Gold Coast this week. Beautiful stuff. DK is fresh-faced down in Melbourne. How are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm sort of back, Scooty. Sort of back. The kids are back at school, thank God for that. As a result, a bit of Daryl Kerrigan at home. How's the Serenity business going on there? But short-lived. I've got the mother-in-law arriving from Malaysia on Monday for Chinese New Year, staying for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and it's fair to say I ain't the favourite son-in-law. So I've got to battle through the next 3 weeks. But apart from that, mate, things are in good order. It was good races yesterday. Finally, they ran straight at Sandown all day. So if you didn't miss one, you missed one when you got the other one. But a bit of conjecture there with that protest I think we'll speak about, Scoot.
Beautiful. Geez, mother-in-law, fresh hill.
Yeah, beauty.
That, couldn't think of anything worse than that. Nico Noonan, you're in from home, still doing some stuff with RSN. So
yeah, it's been busy. Had a bit of a quiet start to the week though, so that was good. And just fire up late this week, got Pakenham and the Valley the next 2 nights, and the big meeting from Caulfield, and we've also got a big meeting from Launceston on Sunday, which we'll cover as well. The Citizen Cup, probably Tasmania's best horse from back in the day. So good to see him being honoured. But a little bit of a freshen up early in the week, and then we'll rip right into pretty much the Autumn Carnival now. There's Group 1 racing next week. We had V8 and some really nice 2-year-olds running last week. So it's all happening now.
Nice little barb there, Nico. Just leads us straight into the Chipping Norton, which is now the Very Elegant. Tie the Knot won the race 4 times. So it's either a marketing genius move for this younger crowd that New South Wales talk about, or a marketing missed opportunity. Tie the Knot race day. Imagine that for bucks, parties and hens. You could just swing off that for the next 10 or 20 years, couldn't you, Walt?
Mate, Very Elegant. What is it? There was one guy, New Zealand horse, that went to Darren Weir, had to get transferred for obvious reasons. Raced in Melbourne for most of its career, ran a 27-length Rocket Racer Spike in the Melbourne Cup, then disappeared overseas, never to be seen again, now lives in France. Or you've got Tie the Knot, that was trained in Chipping Norton, 13-time Group 1 winner, run the race 4 times by arguably one of Australia's top 5 or 10 most popular champion trainers that has since passed away. I know which way I'd go, but, you know.
Kids these days aren't that interested in history.
If you can pick me 100 people off the street and anyone could tell them, and they could name Very Elegant as a Melbourne Cup winner, I'll give you 100 for everyone that out of the 100 that has ever heard of Very Elegant.
Oh, street talk version. Bet Doctor next week is an absolute moral. I'll be picking up hundreds everywhere, I would have thought. A real sick one who might have alienated some people from the game was race 5, the protest yesterday at Sandown. Charisse was hampered by Fine Rebel. The protest was upheld, and we'll just run the replay here, and you can see the horses just out in front there, the leaders. But the horse we're talking about here, if you haven't seen it, is Fine Rebel in the green, and she's just sitting out, one back, and doing it pretty comfortably here. And then Charisse is on the inside in the black and the blue. And Taylor Childs, to my eye, they all sort of naturally sort of fan out a little bit. And she just sort of closes the door or tries to hold her line. And the stewards have deemed that there was a run there for Charisse. And I've watched the replay in the stewards' vision, which I couldn't quite get it up, the stewards' vision, because racing.com have hidden it or they haven't published it. Despite the fact that they've displayed all, 6 or 7 other races on the cards, the steward vision, so they sort of don't want us to play that or show us the other angle there. But when I went and had a look at the replay, I noticed Charisse hitting the hindquarter of Fine Rebel. And so if you hit the hindquarters of a horse, naturally they're going to push back in against it the other way from their head, neck and shoulder. So she had no option, but then the horse was naturally always going to move forward left. And then she sort of tried to hold her ground like most sensible jockeys. And if you watch races in Hong Kong or all the biggest and the best riders, they don't try and give you an inch, and hard to get up the inside when I don't think there was a run established personally. And I think she's, given it an 11 out of 10 ride, and then she's sort of been punished with it. But Fascinating. I'm interested in your opinion, probably, DK. You're all over the race at Sandown, and we'll go around the room and everyone can give their thoughts. But it's more. There's been some howlers in the past, but gee, she's pretty stiff there, Tailed Childs, in my opinion.
Yeah, not in mine. No, I thought, and I think that shows by the way she pleaded. She actually pleaded guilty. She pleaded guilty to careless riding, and only got 10. And if that was only because of a good record and this and that, if she hadn't had a good record and probably been a kid, she would have got 15 or 20. The run was there. That's the all conjecture. I didn't think the run. You said you didn't think the run was there. Everyone else, well, the stewards thought the run was there. I thought you can't. Once the door's open, you can't go and close it again. Okay, it was closed. She tugged on the. She could see her lean on the right rein or the left rein, pull it in. So he was lucky he didn't end up on his nose, and it wasn't hand, but it was a check. By the way, finished off the race, it would have won. So I can see, so we always have problems with stewards. Stewards protest down here all over all the time ever since the Craig Williams one at Moonee Valley, that famous one, the Steve Theodore horse, but intimidation and all that business. But I see Ray Livingstone, so the steward, he filed the protest because it was brother versus brother. And he's thinking maybe they won't protest each other, Gerard Maloney versus John Maloney. So he went in, made the protest. Then he stood back. He said, well, I've made the protest, so I can't officiate on it. The other stewards will officiate on it because I've made the protest. So I thought it was all crystal clear. And I think the fact that she pleaded guilty with her brother sitting there as her mentor, Jordan Child said, no, you either take this on, you challenge it, or you've probably done the wrong thing, pleaded guilty. So that's my opinion. She pleaded guilty. I think that explains that she did the wrong thing.
Nico?
Oh, I thought she was a bit stiff. I don't know if the run was fully there. I don't know if that horse was going well enough to take it either. So I probably would have lent to dismiss because, I still think you have to factor in that, it was the favourite and it wasn't like she was hard on it late. The horse could have had more to give that last 100 metres when the other horse is flying home. So I probably would have leaned dismiss. I can see why they've upheld it, and it might have been a different scenario if it wasn't such a young rider. They've obviously probably the last two protests we've seen in Melbourne, they were both going for their first Metropolitan winners, so they might have made a bit of a statement there as well. But yeah, personally, I thought she was a little stiff. Obviously, the careless riding charge, admitting to that, she probably shut the door a bit too quickly, or maybe a bit too fast. But I don't think the other horse would have won. To be honest, I think Fine Rebel probably would have kicked back again. So all the form. There's just none of that factored in. The SP isn't factored in. It's just all about the run. I don't know how you can be certain that the other horse would have gone past. So I don't know. I see protests a lot differently to other people though. So I think first past the post does mean a fair bit in the protest myself. And then somehow Elope wins the race and we would have never won it anyway. So, so they're funny situations, but I probably would have leaned dismiss.
I didn't have a bet in the race, just for clarity. DK, did you bet in the race?
No, it was the worst. I think it was the worst race of the day. It was the most little interest. I mean, Fine Rebel being a short favourite sort of said what sort of race it was. So I know Nico said it's favourite, but it's no star, that horse. And no, I didn't have a bet in the race. I bet plenty of other races, but not in that race.
Nico, you didn't have a bet?
No, I did have a bet, but thought Fine Rebel looked hard to beat last start at Pakenham, and she's racing great form, that horse. But I thought a bit stiff.
Walt, you didn't have a bet. You're a Sydney man.
I had a $20 trifecta because I was bored, which will make everyone happy because Cherie stood out from the other two. So, it was pretty funny. But opinion-wise, there's a few things. There's two protests, both of them stewards' protests, third versus second, third versus first. In the suspension, they talk about that the leader contributed to the shift and contributed to the interference. So it wasn't punished. The third versus first was upheld, third versus second wasn't. So I don't understand that. I agree with what Nick said, that on the point of the turn, Stackhouse has definitely pushed her and hit her hindquarters, which has shifted. The lead has shifted, and she's tried to correct. She's a 3-kilo girl. I thought she did an incredible job, to be fair. The run may or may not have been there, and then you've got who contributed to the shifting of Fine Rebel, who closed the gap. It was sort of here nor there. I dead set think she should have got the golf clubs right of the day. I would have bet hundreds the uphold. I just don't see how you can possibly uphold it, and how she got suspended, I just think falls into line with the stewards being the one lodging the protest. She's in there.
Has to be
guilty. She's been out-talked. She has to plead guilty. It's just, intimidation. That's a bit of a strong word in this situation, but
she's a kid.
I think she's fallen in line is probably the best way I describe it. And horrifically hard done by, and hopefully she just gets all the positivity out of it. I thought she was, if I would have dead set chaired her through the crowd, if it was my horse coming back the way she rode it, I would have been proud of her. So interesting. It was, it's a shame, but whatever. It is what it is.
I was just surprised. Like initially, I watched it many times, but the deciding factor for me was the contact that Charisse made.
You can't do what he did on the point of the bend. You're not allowed to do that. And that's what created the shift from her.
Because if I bump you...
It's not as if she's hard riding it and whipping it and steering it. She's tried to correct it. And if you watch, there's a line, there is a head-on, and there's a mowing line, and she's basically straight on that edge of that line the whole way from when the interference occurs down the straight. The other horse is sort of shifting inside her, and if she shifts half a horse, that's it. It's not reckless riding. It's not.
It was triggering for Nico. We're going to go back to the 2021 Cox Plate, and we're going to go watch Animo versus State of Rest in the final straight here. And you've got Animo on the back of the maroon horse with the yellow cap. And I guess there's a run here for Animo, and it's definitely established.
And there's no interference there from Animo. Like, he hasn't caused anything to shift, so
and then
he's not involved
this is
at all.
where the bump sort of comes in from State of Rest. And then they've gone from, I would have thought, 3 to 4 wide, and now they finish both on the fence, or Animo's then now 1 and 2 for State of Rest. So I think that's a massive difference in terms of established run, and then that horse has taken it off its line.
The difference with that one is momentum, right? This horse yesterday has lost all momentum. So, but how do you factor that in? And I think that's sort of the difference between Nico and DK's opinion, maybe, in how the outcome fell, because what momentum costs a horse at a stage of a race and when it picks up late and all those factors, that can only be on opinion, right? And clearly between us, we've all got
different opinions,
slightly different opinions. Yep. So it's very difficult.
Tricky one. Speaking of momentum, boys get paid. 1.2 mil they started with. I thought they nailed the day for 95% of it. They had the massive bet Legato all up into Orchestral, the horse of J-Max in the last, with duly saluted. But the problem was Legato got beat in the race before, or 2 races earlier, and they had the saver anyway, so they covered their stake for that race. And then somehow they've gone from having Orchestral a $2 million result to then not having it going for anything in the last. So they've gone a top 4 and a top 6 sort of
same race multi.
like a finishing order bet, which, gosh, I think they've done a great job in all the turnover. I think they accounted for 20% of turnover in New Zealand on the day itself, which is amazing. And it was all the talk in all the betting chat rooms that I sort of frequent on a Saturday and even on the Friday. It was just wall-to-wall noise about this big meeting at Karaka. And I think they've done a tremendous job to promote the game. But, geez, they'd really love to replay the last 30 minutes of decision-making. And we've all been in these streams and done it before. Gosh.
It's just so sick. Like the $1.20 shot lobs, they win. They're both their bets. Their safer bet and their main bet. So they win like 2.5 on the day.
They could have turned it into 3 million easily.
Yeah, it wasn't as if it was unlucky, like the winners bolted in. They've found the winner. If they back it straight out instead of having the other thing and have them sort of both going for a good result, they probably win $1 million and probably truckload the last thing, win $2 million. They've just made a couple of really unfortunate decisions that have fallen. The one in the last is the one that's going to haunt them. Like, obviously, how the heck it can go around and you lose lose 50% of your bank when the horse you try to get going for 2 million wins is tough to swallow if you're one of their punters. But like you said, it's a far out. It's a tough one.
It's the age-old stick to the set sort of jobby, and we've done it in the past. There's been horses that we've had go on DK in the last race.
Option. They've tried to look after their guys, and they've just gone wrong.
Well, remember that horse we've had? Well, I think it was one of our first ever streams, or the first ever Warrnambool Carnival. We had that horse going for an absolute fortune. Remember?
Nashville Sound, mate. I'll never ever forget it.
That's it. That's the horse.
Never ever forget it. $5 into evens, and the last race of the carnival or the bull And then I think that same stream, Curly found the last winner in Brisbane. We all just cheered home because, crescendo. And then I think in another bull stream, you said, I'm going to have 10 grand on this. I said, what do you like, DK? He said, I'll have 10,000. I said, have a real bet. So he had 30,000 on it. He got home. It was a Mick Mzar or something. So right at the end of the day, you need those things to go away. But I think, they'd like to have that that last bit back again. Just hoping the 20-1 chance can run in the top 6 sort of for that much result when, as Kermy said himself, I mean, he on his reflection, he said, we just should have stuck with probably J-Mac, kept it simple. They were angling the day around J-Mac. Didn't they take a bet early in the day? The winner into J-Mac to ride a winner. The shorty into J-Mac to ride a winner as a double. You know, they're attaching themselves to J-Mac. He said they're having a few difficulties with, you know, the big day and everything. So, you know, anyway.
They had to chop out at worst, didn't they? Even if they had like 200 on the 300 of the double or something. I don't know. It's easy to say in hindsight, but it's tough to lose when you're
just hoping wins. A 20-1 chance runs in top 6 in the last race for
risking half your bank.
So,
yeah.
And especially if you're going to save on the Legato leg with the what was it?
The Roughie,
the Desert Lightning or whatever the horse was.
Have that double
well,
too.
They've sort of paid for that bet anyway, so you can sort of reset and have another crack at it.
But even having that double, having the Roughie into the last winner double was pretty much a gimme. So they've just been unlucky. Like Christ, it's just
it's hard
as you said. Not many people have been in that situation. We all have, and it's you're so conscious of
doing the right thing.
Well, trying to. And
the Prime Minister wanders in. For a bit of extra pressure.
Outstanding. I tell you what, just turn over 1.2 million on that little tiny 6-race card as an effort in itself. I think they did a pretty good job, but absolute pisser. A problem that needs addressing in these smaller country tracks, a fair bit of feedback here. Friends of mine were there, saw it all over Twitter. Big one for Racing Victoria to try and rally around. But Hanging Rock, Balnarring, they're doing a great job to pump up all this country and picnic racing, the Bull, heaps of these places. They got big problems with their phone and internet coverage. So Swan Hill last year was apparently a nightmare as well. So they're doing all the hard work to get people on course, and then they're losing all this turnover, and people can't bet, they can't communicate, they can barely get like a Facebook Messenger sort of signal out to talk to their friends. And surely there's got to be a solution from Racing Victoria to work in with the telephone companies to try and figure this issue out, because all the bookies, they've given them the green light to go off course and sort of decimate the racetrack, and they're all using online services now. But now all the punters are struggling to get a bet on, so they're not rusted on punters either. So they'll just sit there drinking their VB tinnies or whatever it is and Carlton Draft, and they just won't bet. So massive miss, and it's been going on for good 12 months now. So RV got a big problem there with trying to get the phone sales
just
sorted.
Logistics of price. Obviously telcos are not easy to work with, and they only have how many meetings a year? It's not easy.
Need to figure it out.
It's not easy to combat, and I don't think they've got such a thing as a mobile tower. I don't think that exists. So.
And heaven forbid they go and have a cash bet with one of the 20
that's what they should be trying to push, right? That's what they should be trying to get 50 bookies there.
They do. I mean, all the bookies clear. They can't get into those joints because they are the generally good meetings, just a picnic sort of crowd atmosphere. People just, doing their best. No smarties shooting you down or anything. And the bookies, they've got to cap the amount of bookies that go to those meetings. So heaven forbid they have a cash bet with them rather than betting on their phones.
Maybe
they need to stop capping and getting them back out on the lawn again. Maybe they need.
Surely they do. That's right.
They need more.
You just exactly more. Spread them out. Make it so they're just everywhere.
Right in your face. Because it's all tap and go now anyway. Beautiful.
As long as the tap and go internet works, everything's all right.
All right, let's keep moving along. Can you tap and go if they're out? Probably not.
You can't. It's all internet.
Oh dear. Where are we headed? Donnie's going to try and find us a couple of winners. He's going to go down to Sydney and have a look. I think we've got seconds coming out our backsides for the syndicate. I think we've had 17 seconds out of 35 bets for January. So started well. I think we're down 10 units for the month, but we've just clicked over to February. So happy days, and we'll just keep firing away. So not a big deficit to overcome, but I'm sure we'll tear back into it. But some of the seconds we've been having are just unbelievable. Walt Magnetaire was a bit of a sick watch.
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's
Ashley
wasn't
Morgan.
Nearly it was one pair closer than, anyway. One place, the old Coffin, DK's favourite place in the world. You got a big, long striding stayer that he butchered the crap out of last start, not getting it in the clear.
Big roomy track.
And he jams it early to box seat it. Oh, why wouldn't you?
Rosehill Saturday, round 9. So we're going to get straight back into it. Nico, I think it's similar conditions at Caulfield. I think it's nearly rail 9 there as well. Bold Soul, too big, too strong, and the Guineas found a way. Stepardi was interesting tactics. They tried to hunt him forwards outside the leader. And Brave Mead, Blake Shin, absolute peach. Where's Stepardi at, do you think?
No, I think it was just a big run. He just seemed a bit too fresh in the run. I think maybe... Well, Johnny even said in hindsight he maybe should have come back and maybe the horse settles a little better. But once he got to that position, I had a good crack at him. Thought he was pretty much there to go from the yard, and it was just never a comfortable watch. He was just, pulling, and just thought, oh, he's going to have to be bloody good to win from here, like how he's raced through the middle stages. And I just think he was probably, just raced a bit fresh on the day. I don't think they're going to the CF4 anymore. I think they're going to stick to 3-year-olds, maybe the Autumn Stakes or the CS Hayes, and 1400, he can definitely bounce back. I wouldn't be writing him off. All the form lines around him stacked up from the weekend. Like, he smashed Southport Tycoon, he beat V8 fair and square. So they all ran really well. So maybe he just hasn't come back as good, but I'd be happy to back him again next start to find out.
Shin did carve him. Like, as soon as he saw that he was there at Over Racing and had to work, he just put him to the sword early. And obviously they knew Brave Mead was ready to do what it did. And,
that's spot on, Walt. I mean, I was hearing Shin after the race. Ma gave him the keys to the car there and said, "Mate, get in the van here. This horse is fit and raring to go. Residual fitness. Put P Shin on his grouse on a leader and make that other, Brave Mead went better than I thought it would,
Agreed. He made Sapati probably look as bad as he could.
Mm.
Yeah, they'd be pretty happy with that. V8 was interesting, had absolute PR and Southport Tycoon.
Who was the bloke outside who was the bloke in the 1-1 that took off at about the 600 for no reason on the 20-1 chance that just absolutely made the race for V8? That was, and he buried the poor Mar horse. It made it go early, and he just set the race up for it perfect. I thought, it was a good win, but everything fell his way.
Yeah, Kieran Marnelli got the lot there, 12 into $5. Southport Tycoon missed the kick, and that was the end of the race. Be interested to see if the tables turn when those two horses shape up next start. I got what I deserved probably last Saturday at the Sunshine Coast. Viminelli, $11 into $4.40. Jake Bayless just was pretty cold on it. And then off the straight, I actually thought he probably should have turned left instead of right and just
how we
slide
joked
up the fence.
that Collett doesn't have a left blinker.
Yeah.
Jay Bayless doesn't have a steering wheel, mate. So I wouldn't be too concerned. He's tough to catch.
Yeah, I was sort of cured for a couple of days. I had to go to boxing and go to the gym, and I cooked some dumplings. I did everything but look at races for a good 24, 48 hours there, and sometimes you need to do it. But
we went to lunch. What was it, Monday?
Yeah.
And Scoot's telling me, he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm off the punt at the moment. I haven't had a bet since Saturday." And they just all started. And he was serious. He's like, I've needed to take a break since Saturday. I've had what was it, 36 hours at the time off, and they're just like, this Saturday, just want. That's a break for you. Yeah, mate. Just had to have a spell. They were absolutely dying.
Had to put the gun down. I noticed Kingsley from the Den, our good friends up there. I noticed Kingsley had to have a bit of a mental health day, or he went for a jog and hit the gym or did whatever on Monday. I'm tipping I didn't have as bad a day as Kingsley, but we're sort of in the same headspace, I would have thought.
It's all relative.
It is all relative. Definitely is all relative. But everyone's there, and the best thing is they're on again. They're on again yesterday, and they're on again today. So I'm back. I've got the helmet on and mouth guard in. TopSport Steam, they went none from 2 last week, so a couple of placings there. TopSport is where the Steamers are found, so they got protest payout. Top Fluck, super honest Australian bookmaker, owned and operated, support local community, and all the money stays onshore instead of going offshore. So mad not to try TopSport and give them a go. As I said, Caulfield on Saturday, Nico. Let's talk about that first. And you're sort of winding about the clock here with a couple of these runners, but it's chairman's, and we're a week away from the Blue Diamond Preludes, which is exciting, and all the good horses are starting to come back now. So the first race we're going to have a look at is race 5. It's the John Mooley handicap over 1,400 metres, and Punch Lane is one of your horses in the past. $3.90 favourite, Zondi $7.50, Hoo Ha Havana $9.50, Rumbled again $9.50, and Treble Eagle $11, Masterful $11, Mark Hebb is $11 and $14, El Rocco and Green Belt. Much better the rest. Horse you like here is from the Enver Yusufovic yard, second at Cranbourne in the white and Saints colours.
This is Masterful. He's going to need a similar one here. Draws barrier number 1, but he does get Mick D going aboard, which I think is a big positive for this horse. This horse has been flying for about 4 months. He just has struck a few races that haven't worked out his way. He had a non-event at Caulfield, then he won at Cranbourne. I think he probably should have won this race. He just didn't get out at a crucial time, and D Lane was off and gone on Signal, who's probably not a better horse than him, but he flew home in the pretty much quickest closing splits of the day. And I just think the way he's been racing he's like been really good in his last two, and they've been slowly run races. So I don't think they would have taken that much out of him. Gets a really soft run here, and I just thought this race just, I don't know, just like left a bit to be desired. A few of the horses at the top of the market. Zon's going to trick him out from a wide draw. Punch Lane, Best is good enough. I thought he was a little plain last start, and then you go looking a bit wider, and I think you're sort of left with a horse like Masterful, who's just flying. And if the gaps come and Mick D can position him a little bit closer in the run, you'd think he's going to be, right in the finish off what we saw last start. So a bit of a tricky race, but I thought at $11, you definitely make a case he should be shorter, and he probably might not bring in the best form, but I think he's going the best in the race. And it just looks like a race that he could overachieve in from an inside draw with a good jockey. So around $11 that is worth something on.
El Rocco might be a bit of a knockout hope. Gets Carleen off, J Mott on, ready to peak.
Yeah, I think he's just a wet track up, which is probably a problem for Saturday. So he did run okay last start. I liked him in the yard last start, but I'd just probably rather him on the wet these days.
DK, any thoughts these ones?
No, well, Masterful stuck out straight away. We got to the Gold Coast and got up there on I think it was the Friday night, parked in the sports bar there with a big crew. They said, "What's your best at Cranbourne?" I said, Masterful will win. Everyone all tuned into it. And the thing you didn't see in that video was the kid missing the start on it 2 lengths. And then it was just a train wreck from there and Charge Lakes. That was a good start to the trip up there. So he'd been flying that horse, as Nico said. To go back and watch his last 3 or 4 runs, just flying, finding the line. So I thought he could follow probably Punch Lane. Probably want to take a sit. Geez, he was disappointing the other day, Punch Lane. The market was very Teddy Marantelli on him late the other day. He was a big drifter late when they came for Lang Park. And I'm not the biggest rap for Lang Park. I was around it heavily yesterday and it busted yesterday after leading. So I'm just not sure about that form. Pulled up lame, over raced. I mean, it gets Zara soft hands and that, but I thought Masterful might be able to box seat. Masterful can follow it 3 back the fence and come after it late. So the jury's a bit out on Punch Lane to me.
Zara might be thinking about the Super Bowl too by about then. He might be already on the plane. Italy.
Got one yesterday, Master Bentaro.
No, this is Saturday we're talking about. When's the Super Bowl? It's like Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, or is it
another week after? He'll be there though. He goes all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah, he'll be there for sure.
He's got the game by the absolute pills, though, hasn't he?
About the 14th or 15th, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it still the extra week?
Because Tay-Tay's got to get there and get back here to do the concerts.
Jesus Christ. I love looking at these races where you get 11 horses between $11 and $18, a weak favourite at $3.90 and a set of horse first up $7.50, like the ultimate race to go looking for value. And so I've got no clue about any of those horses, but I love the angle.
Intrepid Eagle's probably the horse that Matt might interest me, but happy to back you in there, Nico and DK, with Masterful. Sounds like you guys are both very, very bullish. So at $11, have to play, and probably not a bad each way play also. Race 6 is the Mal Seckle handicap over 2,400 metres. Herman Hess is the favourite here, $2.90. Monbea, $3.70. Ferentless is $4.60. Grand Promenade, $4.80. Wasaka, $10. Skelm, $17. Alacan, $34. Southern France, $101. With Nelson, horse you like here is Herman Hess. Nico.
Yeah, it's been a while between drinks for Herman Hess, but gee, he finds a winnable race. I thought he was good last start. He ran in the Tari Cup first up, got too far back. Then he went to Caulfield, had things in his favour, couldn't get on top of Alhambra Lad and Regal Power. Form out of that race has been quite strong. Then he went back to the 2,000 metres here and missed a run because he got scratched at the barriers. And this was a brutal run race, and he was, they had to come and get him there, and Aurora Symphony just gets him on the line. I thought it was a run full of merit. Especially for a horse that, his best form is over 2,400 metres. So back to 2,000, he ran really well there. He gets Craig Williams going aboard. He seems just a great rider in these sort of tactical races, and probably going to need a good ride, this horse, to hit the front at the right time. But I think there he didn't really cat it up. He just probably had a few others that had a bit better run in the race than him. He had to cut up the field there. So you have to go back a while for his last win. I think he's only had 2 wins here in Australia, and one of them was at Warrnambool in the Cup. So I just think this race just sets up perfect for him. Like Monbahar and Grand Promenade were both first up in the race that was pretty slowly run, and I think they probably somewhat overachieved there. And they're 370 and 480. Like, and he's pretty well in the weights, in well the weights relative to them. And Ferentless is the other pig in the market, and she's coming back from running in 3,000 metre races, like a benchmark 70 grade. So that can't be form. So this horse has got the proper Saturday form. Good rider, right stable, just whether the right Herman Hess shows up. his best from last campaign, he did run third of the Mornington Cup. So if he's at that level, he'll absolutely bolt in. If he just runs to what he did last start, he'll be hard to beat. And I thought just around that $3 mark just seemed a bit of over. So I thought you could definitely mark it a bit shorter. And just with a few things in his favour here, look the one to beat.
Two great things there. One, referencing the Taree Cup. Nico doesn't get to do that enough. Like, that's incredible. And two, he's unbeaten for the new stable. He's unbeaten. Just go that way. Just to be a stats man. You know, I love when they say 4 from their last 6. This horse is unbeaten for the Mars stable.
No horse. Last time he saluted was
510 days.
Yeah. 2022.
I would have done my money then. I would have gone the unders. I would have thought I thought it was a lot longer than that. But.
September 2022 against Oz Legend Saracen Knight and Rodinho. So that was a benchmark 78 at Rosehill, over 2,400. So definitely the key to him. Christ, I can't add too much to these. I nearly fell off my chair when Nico sent through that he was tipping Herman House, real wind back the clock sort of stuff. I don't think I had pubes when that horse won.
I get the tab app up when we're looking at these races that I haven't covered, just to sort of have a quick look and being able to look at replays and things. And I was just noticing that the other day there was a first starter, like a group of first starters, and one of them had won over 900, and they must have picked up the trial. So the tab in their app here say this horse has only won over 2,400 and it's won over 2,000 up to 20. Like, geez, they mustn't have enough cash to put it out. How bad is it when the 20 years advantage over everyone else and they can't get an app that can tell you how far a horse has even won over? Oh, my God.
It is crazy. It's sort of like that. There's a bloke on Twitter that does all the ratings for the 2-year-olds.
Without them.
They haven't
without running.
They haven't even run. So he's rating these horses off the trials.
Off trials. Yeah, slotting them in. He's like Stormbird. I've got Stormbird on top, but I've got this unraced Godolphin horse, number 3. It's the best.
Tell you what, I'll be ringing him.
Mate, he's got good angles. Everyone's got their angles.
Mate, if he can just give us the Powerball numbers here, I won't. I'll just take I don't have to pay the bloody overs for the power hit.
You rate the Powerball numbers. I
should be, given the size of the ticket, I should be thinking about what I could spend other than 800 rows of Tats Lotto. That's how desperate I am to win the 200 million. Isn't that funny, isn't it? Like, the odds of winning Powerball are pretty average.
I have never in my life bought a Lotto or Powerball ticket.
Maybe you should start.
You would have lost that bet, wouldn't you?
I would have. You need it. You need that hope. It's the hope factor. I
just feel like I'm taking unders.
You definitely are. Nico, your mounting yard is back Saturday a week. You're still doing your community service by throwing out winners for free in the old link. So that's floating around. If you need it, hit us in our DMs. But you're going to tune in for the Autumn Carnival next Saturday, which is good news. So it'll be Caulfield, it'll be the prelude. So it's a perfect time for jumping on board Nico and supporting him, because he's given everyone a very, very generous free lick over the last sort of month or so. Helping people bridge the gap. Eagle Farm on Saturday is going to be a drying track. I've sort of picked a race to trigger Walt.
Love it.
He obviously missed out on giving me stick about Vim and Ellie last week, so I thought, I'll find a race that will upset you here, and it's race 10 at Eagle Farm. And it's the Class 6 1,400 metre race, and Daytona Bay's the favourite here, sensationally backed in early betting, $4 into $2.80, horse that we'd all know pretty well. Now with the Kelly Schweider yard, 4 into $2.80, Emperor, $3.10, Plundering for Annabelle, $4.40, Redwood Shadow, $9.50, Ton of Delight, $14, Wariri Falls, $21, Albert, $31, Warp Speed, $31, Hell of a Deal, $31, Wolf Moon, $31, and that is the race. Sort of like an ex-Melbourne, Victoria / Sydney.
Mate, when you're reading the names out, I thought it must have been a 1,000-metre race, and it's 1,400.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting?
Heck?
Going to watch a couple of replays here.
They're running it off a cliff.
Daytona Bay is the first replay, and this is it's a real interesting one. You've got On the Lead there in yellow, and I didn't really peg On the Lead for a 1,200 metre horse whatsoever.
It's not.
Well, I thought he was 1,000, 1,100 absolute max.
It is.
Tommy Berry slaughtered this horse at Flemington in the carnival. Probably should have won up the straight. And then you've got Daytona Bay sort of chasing him down. And the sharpshooters, as DK calls them in early betting, backed that horse sort of $6 in, not realising that African Daisy, Bet You the Crown, we're going to savage the deduction. So well done for taking A terrible price, Daytona Bay. Now it's into $2.80 anyway. The next replay we're going to have a look at here is Emperor winning, and he's sort of sitting there 3 wide. And this is a horse that you know pretty well, Walt, and it's yellow with the blue sleeves. And the other horse that sort of caught my eye a bit more was in the navy blue with the white cap sort of in behind him, sort of looking for runs, and that horse is called Redwood Shadow.
They can't be coming up the straight as slow as they look. Bill Borco's put this on half pace or something. Have a look at them. Have a look at, that's a hot form race if ever you've seen one. They're glued together.
Yeah. So all these horses are just jam-packed savagely in the market, and I'm interested in Walt's thoughts because now it's a 1,400 metre race, so all these horses are rising in distance. Daytona Bay goes up in weight. It's carrying 6.5 kilos. You got Plundering sitting there. It's got the contemporary powerful peg Union Army form over 1,200. To start prior, 1,400 metres, only got beaten 1.7 by Felix Majestic, but then Louisville's in that race as well. So interested to think, I'll ask your opinion, does Plundering run a strong 1,400 metres, or would you be inclined to risk it in this sort of field, given that there are some Sydney-siders here?
It's a hard run race, that Felix Majestic race. So, 1.7 off that. At least it's got a decent setup. You would think, if anything, it might have been a bit flat last start. Draws are soft. It's far out. I'd be looking elsewhere first and coming back to it. I definitely think Emperor's a monster risk to run 1,400. The soft draw helps it, but I think it's a fresh 1,000-metre horse. So, I'd be happy to sort of be well away from it. But Plundering's a bit more one-paced, very fit. If it was a 2, like if you gave me at the betting like 310 Emperor and Plundering 480, and you bet me like 225 Plundering to beat Emperor home, that's probably the bet I'd have. But I haven't looked at the race.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried that Daytona Bay might sort of sprout here. I think he might, especially with 16.5 kilos, I think he's going to find it challenging to reel in these leading pack in with that weight. I think he's more maybe 1,600 metres. He's stretched out to 1,800 metres in the past. I'm really worried he might go flat second up. Ormond's going to have him a long way back. The horse that I liked, it does go Martin Harley to CJ Graham. So I tend to finding too many CJ Graham horses at the moment, and she can ride him sort of dead cold last. But I thought Redwood Shadow, $10 each
Pride's
way.
horse, right?
Is
Pride's horse, is it?
Yeah, ex-Pride horse. So now with Tony Madison Sears, who's I think they're going super, that camp, it now drops down to 52.5 kilos. So it's got the weight swing on Emperor, despite Emperor being sort of 3 wide. And sort of you'll get $10 and $3 something a place if you back at best of 3 totes. The place, I know there's a lot of place percentage on the boards at the moment. They're not what they used to be, place divs. That's what DK and I were discussing.
Some of those little funny book of all the weird things these little betting shops do, some of them do actually bet you decent
place odds.
They're worth going looking for.
Old school bookies. But my bet there is Redwood Shadow. I think that's the forgotten horse, 52.5 kilos. It's $10. I think they bet $16. I can see this horse getting absolutely crunched, and I'm pretty confident this horse can run out one of the strongest 1400s against a couple of horses that are either A, carrying too much weight, Daytona Bay, and then B, Emperor and Plundering, who could be chinky or sort of fanned out late at the 1400.
If there's any speed in the race, I'd agree with you. Sure.
Oh, well, spewing. I was hoping that Walt would...
No, I dead set thought it was a 1,000-metre race when you're calling the names out. That's quite funny.
Well, I thought you'd go against me, but we're on Redwood Shadow each way, so I think that's a great way to bet. And puntingform.com.au is how I do the form. It's the next step for transitioning to full-time punter, so make sure you check out puntingform.com.au, and they'll even give you some free tutorials and help if you email their support team and request it. They are terrific people there. Rosehill is heating up, Walt. It's carnival time, so you're very excited about that. And
when does it start? Can you let me know when it starts?
No, this weekend. It's Autumn Carnival.
What, the 2-year-olds? The 2-year-olds are all right.
Canonbury Stakes is always the...
and the Widden or whatever they call it.
But I think it falls a little bit early because Easter's pushed it up a little bit early as well. So everything revolves around Easter.
Kieran,
in
whatever
Sydney.
Kieran the lunatic on Twitter, was he saying they're going to rename the Melbourne Cup the Nature Strip Stakes or something? So they'll probably rename these ones soon. But the 2-year-olds they seem to leave alone a bit for some reason, the names of the races, which is good.
Weird. Oh, breeders must care about it. This is the Arrowfield Canterbury Stakes. It's race 3 at Rosehill, rail out 9 metres. Prost is the favourite here too.
6 or 9? I think it's 6.
Sorry?
6.
What?
6 metre rail.
6 metre rail.
Close enough.
Rosehill race 3, Prost $2.35 at TopSport, Traffic Warden $3.40, Fearless $3.70, King of Russo $9, Enhance $12, and we won't worry about the rest in the market here. Prost is the horse you're going to have a look at. It's debut performance here. Well, it's in the blue.
The light bluey colours back in the sort of middle of the flying V. Half missed the kick and got back a bit, which is obviously not what Gay's horses do. But most interesting part about this race, Straight Charge, Highness finishes behind. Can't remember the name of the winner. Is it Espionage or something? But this form has certainly held up quite well. The horse outside it is Fearless, so it's coming through just inside Fearless now. Clearly a bit stronger late. I don't think there was much between them in the run. Don't really take that as a here nor there. So this is the trial, latest trial. So what's the name of the Shanghai? What's he called?
Shangri-La Express.
So Gay's horse has been very dominant a couple of times. Quite a strong heat this. That's trunked down the outside. There's actually another 2-year-old in this is Manal, who is in the next race, is in this heat too. So it was a super strong heat, this one. And just love the way he's not a push button, but it doesn't take a long time to wind up, and he certainly looks like he's got gears. So the key to this for him is certainly holding that fence. And gate 1, I'm not always in love with that on leaders, but sort of strong Gay leaders here. And King of Rosso's drawn 2. It's probably, again, the key to whether if it crosses Prost, it's in trouble. Still can win, as you can see from that trial. If it gets a gap, it's a nuggety horse. You know, if Tim can force out from behind, which you don't want to be really in that position when you're taking $2.60 or whatever it is. But if he holds the lead, I think he'll win. The dangerous horse probably in the race on paper is Traffic Warden, who ran second as Storm Boy, quite comprehensively beaten there on debut, but was taken back from the gate and then went down to Caulfield, I think, and won quite pretty well easily. There, ran a good rating, all that sort of stuff. Had a clean-out trial since, but I think it's got enough money to not be too concerned about winning this race, whereas Prost certainly will be out to win. And if Traffic Warden wins, it'll be more a conservative ride and gets them late. And I thought that Prost certainly had the measure of Fearless. And, it's just all about that first 200 metres. There's no doubt Tim will be trying to hold the front. And if he can do that, I think he'll be very aggressive. And if he can hold it, I think, he's an odds-on chance from that position.
$2.35. So maybe snap that one up. And Auto Bet Go Waterhouse.
Christ. They don't miss, do they? They take any. I just look at prices in the last instance. They just take any price early, don't they? I think you'll get better than that. I think what I'm saying is an odds-on chance if it leads. I think you'll get better than $2.35.
DK Sharpshooters knocking all the price off. And here we are at race number 5. It's the Widden Stakes over 1,100 metres. And Lady Camelot's a favourite here, $2.05 for Gay Waterhouse, Tim Clark. Manal, $4.60. Alina, $5. Celerity, $5. Frobel Star, $12. Wave Break at $17. Push Par, $51. Extreme Diva, $61. And the eyes have it, $101. We're going to have a look at a couple of different replays here. The first one is the Jim crack, not the Gim crack, because I'll get in trouble. Lady Camelot, Manal's in here. And
so she's 3 wide in the Go bloodstock colours. Manal's tracking through in those the Sheik's colours. What do they got? I don't know which one they are, but the Sheik's colours are the white cap. Well. Gets it late. This is a while. I think Manal was pretty lucky to win this race, and it has trialled well. As I said, it's trialled in that same heat as Trunk and all those strong sort of colts. So I'm certainly not dismissing Manal or off that sort of bit lucky win there.
Here's Lady Camelot out in front of the trial, and Celerity's back in the blue, which is another horse to keep your eye on here.
Sort of ducks in behind him. Very, very quiet trial from Celerity. But Lady Camelot's done this twice, run very fast time out in front. They've certainly, you can see what she is. She's just fast. And Timmy's drawn 1 in both the 2-year-olds, which is quite interesting. I think this one will certainly hold the lead a little bit better than Prost. I hope I'm wrong when I say that. But, this race, I actually don't have a super strong opinion from a betting standpoint. I just thought it was a great race to sort of highlight because I think this will be a feeder race into the slipper, especially from the filly side of things. Lady Camelot, very well placed here. 2 great hit outs. Gate 1 should lead. I thought the stablemate looked like it's come back extremely well, a linear. And if you swap the draws and swap the riders, I'd actually be quite keen to be with her because I think Tim's a little bit better at getting them out of the gates, rating them, especially these fast horses. I think Reggie will just fall in line. He'll come across, sit outside Tim, let him do his thing, and that'll probably strengthen Tim's position. Whereas if it was the other way around, Reggie can do some funny things, sort of go a bit quick at times. You'd say Tim sort of slotting behind. I think this is the stronger horse, Alinea. And I'd no surprise to see her win the race on Saturday. I just think Tim just gets a little bit easier of a time than, say, if Reggie was riding it. And the dead set query horse is this horse, Celerity. First trial was Zach Lloyd, and he gave it a bit of a bye, and then J-Mac jumps on it, gives it a spin around, and now rides this horse. He is riding it over, but he's riding it a half over 54.5. I think that I couldn't go back and see that he's ridden anything near this weight since sort of the spring. So if that's not a good lead up or a good heads up that this horse has got some ability and do love the way she moves. I think, if I had to bet in the race, I'd still nearly have to take the $6 plus about both those horses, Alinea, Celerity, and hope that Lady of Camelot punches. But I do think Tim's just going to get, a bit in his favour. So it's not a great betting race, but I think it's a great race to have a really good look at and really dissect, because I do think if any fillies are going to be competitive in the Slipper this year, they'll potentially come out of this race.
So it's a big watch there. All right. Sort of half let us into the 2 and the 3, but sort of graying.
I think if you're going to, the 3 is just really interesting because not like the other Godolphin in the previous race, this horse probably has to stand up and start to put some money on the board. So it's probably going to be more for J-Mac's going to be having a bit of a more. I'm not saying they're not trying that other race at all, but this horse is probably more primed to go here than Traffic Warden's worried about winning the Canonbury.
You're a busy man these days, Nico, but is there still a little bit of room for 2-year-old fawning over blue jacket horses, or have you kicked that habit since you become a Tasmanian betting expert?
No, I haven't been as deep into probably the Sydney form as recent, but I did see the trial of Pross and thought that was pretty smart work. But no, I haven't really had a good look at the two-year races up there yet. Just seem to be coming harder and harder, the two-year races, to be honest.
That's why it's so fun with Gay, isn't it? Like she just, where they're going to be most of the time.
Yeah. I thought the Celerity trial, just looking at that replay there, I thought you would have got a half chub just watching that, Nico, in the blue jacket.
I reckon he will when he goes back and watches it a bit closer later. He'll be interested.
Well, I wasn't thrilled with Lady of Camelot on debut and sort of took her on a little bit, so maybe that will work out for me again if I properly do the race.
Exactly. If she does anything wrong, I think she's vulnerable to these horses. They're pretty good. And whereas Prost race, I think he's just stronger than him. So if he jumps and leads, they'll have a task to get past him.
She's a pretty handy mare, Ella Kazoom, the mother of Celerity.
Mate, there's some, I think Absolute for 2 gets a start in the other. There's some really handy mares. Maybe that was the race yesterday. There's some well-bred 2-year-olds, which obviously expect.
Big breeding show. Would take a close eye on the breeding.
Couldn't care less if they're worth $2.60 or $2.6 million, but it's always interesting.
Got a couple in the boat the other day when I tweeted out Gigi kick off to stud.
You got me because I was looking at it. I'm like, mate, you are an imbecile, so there's a big chance you don't know. So I did give you a message. That's what I was fishing, you imbecile. You got about 10.
Yeah, I got 10 fish in the
11
boat.
if you count me.
Yeah, you're the whopper. You're the big one.
I didn't read the article, to be fair.
To be honest, I actually was a little bit surprised when there's only one colt won the Everest.
Well, it hasn't raced in Adelaide, has it? So I thought maybe you weren't aware of whether it was a filly or a mare or a gelding.
I thought that was very funny. And then All-Star Mile, nearly, I think every horse I think it's all geldings and one mare won the All-Star Mile.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
In the All-Star Mile. So the pop-up race is going
What
beautiful.
price is Brightside now for that race? He must be even money.
No one would be interested. I think Militarise is the only colt that might even go to it. Will it go to it?
Why would they want to win an All-Star Mile with Militarise? I doubt it. They might, but I don't see why to be on their list.
Yeah, big breeding show us. Racingwatch.com.au is a big breeding chat room too for Johnny's analysis everywhere from, where is it, Ballina, Willowbar, right down to...
Mate, we go everywhere.
You stop though.
Someone mentioned something. I find myself looking at Alice Springs races and everything. It's quite funny when you've got a bit of downtime and someone finds something out wide. It's good to delve into the areas unknown. It's actually more fun sometimes.
Campbell is about as south as you go, isn't it?
Go south, go broke, I say, but that's mainly because the riders are a little bit crazy, and it's just hard because you get the mix of northern Victorians creeping over the border, and they come from east, west, south, north to one area. It's harder. They mix together. So
Opal Day, you do Canberra though, don't
Yeah.
you?
I have a look, and obviously horses sneak here and there, and you try and work it out. But I just find that south is difficult.
The south is a happy underground for Nico, and we've got Launceston on Sunday. The further south he goes.
Serious south.
Deep south. We love it down in Tassie.
Alabama.
Yeah. And Nico reckons he's got a couple here. And there's also like there's something brewing over in Tasmania, some sort of integrity thing. They're trying to dismember the.
So they've got rid of it. They've cleaned it out completely.
Yeah. Do you know any about that, Nico, or you just head down ass up in the form there? But it sounds like
there was a big inquiry that Murray did, and I don't know the case itself, but I know that after the findings that they're just going to clean the whole integrity department out and start again.
It's all the trots, I think. I don't think it has anything to do with
Ben Yole,
the thoroughbreds. It sounds like I think there's one trotting bloke down there that's caused a bit of mischief. So I think it's all to do with that.
Yeah, right.
I think they've only got one integrity department though that covers them all. I think Dog Trot's a bit like Curic, I think.
Right.
So
got a lot on their plate.
Whatever.
That'd be the tough brief to have. Launceston Race 2 is the race we're going to have a look at. It's the Launceston Cup, 28th of February, Class 1 handicap. Make sure you try and get down there. It's an absolute beauty, 1,400 metre race. And you think you found one here, Nico, in Ruda Palace. It was a big run, second last start. You can see it absolutely trucking back with the red cap off the fence.
Yeah, he just peaks on his run a little bit here, Ruda Palais and the blinkers. I thought the other horse you probably have to take into account is that horse back in the field in the red. Definitely one we want on side here, but I thought Ruda Palais is going to get every possible chance in this race. I thought he just peaked on his run that last 100 metres, and he's just caught on the line there by Princess Mao Tucker, I think it is, who has some ability on her day. And then the other horse back in the field was Belmister, who had absolutely no luck. Was flying home late. Chelsea Baker, I think, rides for Barry Breaker. I think it's her dad, so she rides this horse all the time.
Did she get time for? Did she get questioned to ask a little bit more vigour there? Was she having a go?
I'm tipping she's on it again.
She is on it again. Gets him with 51.5 kilos. I think you got to have a look at it. Just how far back here at
just for fun, if anything.
How far back it's going to get. But I think Ruda Palais, the horse they got to come and get on top of the speed. He was good first up. Siggy Carr's stable's absolutely flying at the moment. For her career, she strikes about 12%. Recently, she's got about 30. Return on investment of nearly 30% as well. So she's got a pretty good hand. And this horse has been very consistent in Tasmania. Ruda Palais is a bit of a bridesmaid, but I think you're up to 1,400 metres and potentially with a few things in his favour with how the track could play. Like usually at Launceston, it's advantage to be right up there. I thought this looks his race. And then, the blowout, the market may miss off a bit of a quiet run. Last start was definitely that horse in the red, Belmister. So they were the two for me in this event.
All right. Interesting. Troy Baker rides Ruda Palace. So is Troy Barry Baker's son as well?
Oh,
I don't know that at all.
Not entirely sure. I don't really know the ins and outs of the Tassie family setup. He goes all right. Troy. He can get the job done. So I think he rode the horse last start and pretty aggressive sort of rider. So I'm happy enough backing in. Down
to what price, Nico?
Oh, I think you'd want over $3. I think you'll get it. Tricks of Vista and a few others in the race will hold up with a bit of percentage. That $3 to sort of $5 range, somewhere in between there'd be good.
If anyone can enlighten us with the family lineage of the Bakers down in in all seriousness,
can't get it Googling. I tried.
Yeah, down in Tassie, you got to be a bit careful. But just tweet us into the show just so we can clarify that one. Race 8 is the next one you're going to have a look at here, Nico. And the horse that you like here is Conundrum, and it just sort of sat just in behind the speed, gold sleeves, and puts an absolute hole in him here.
Yeah, it's bolted in last week. This is only a benchmark 64 and now comes up to a cup grader race, but it's a weak cup. It's second in the order of entry. So, this was his second run at 2,100. His first run was a little bit inconclusive. He did start hard in the market, but he was well beaten in the Class 1. This was his only second go at 2,100. The winkers went on and, he absolutely bolted in. His runs all this campaign have been very good. Remember going back early days, he beat GG City Boy and Love and Bev, both coming in, and GG City Boy was that horse where it was a bit of a Black Caviar sort of set up there where the rider sat up there late, which we had a good laugh at earlier in the year. But he was the horse that beat that horse on that occasion, and he really went on with it, and that was his first run at 2,100. Absolutely bolted in. Very fast run race last week to the 600. So on the quick backup, I think this race won't have that sort of speed here. So I think he'll be probably suited on the quick backup, doing nothing with him in the week. And she's a very patient trainer, this Sarah Cotton. all of the horses that I see, none of them pretty much race till they're 4 or 5, and this horse is 6, has only had 2 campaigns, so she's held him back a fair bit, but I think he's got some ability, and there's just not much in the race. You go looking outside of him, Vintage Diesel was in that race last. I was probably given a poor ride, but he'd have to improve a bit. Metaverse, it was very consistent, but did put in a very plain one last start. And Super Swoop, looks like he's gone off his recent form. If Super Swoop turned up at his best, he'd just win. But I just don't know if I could back him to sort of do that at 9 years old now after having 73 starts. So it looks a pretty good race for Conundrum. I think he'll definitely be favourite, and just looks like another race he can put away the Citizen Cup. So hoping he's going to be able to beat.
Wow, this great performance, great training performance. This has gone 1200, 1300, win, and then 14, 1600, then leapt to 2100 and one lot far lap, and now looks absolutely almost across the line here. At what price we taking, Conundrum, Nico?
I think he'd probably have a 2 in front of his name. I think you'd hope closer to 3s, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is,
Small
especially
field.
come race time shorter with the small field, quick backup, fast rating, last start. Like there's a lot in his favour that the robots and the models might just go tick, 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 So hopefully there's a little bit of meat on the bone there. I think there probably should be. It's not an absolute go-to stable down there. Sarah Cotton, Taylor Johnson, it's not like back in Perez and Keys or Trinder. The market's probably not as all over her as they probably should be. She's doing a really good job.
You've probably just given her up, exposed her. She's going to be the next big thing. Launceston Cup is the next big thing down in Tassie. It's the 28th of February. It is going to be an absolute cracking day out. If you can't get down there for that, make sure you head to TasRacing FormplusPro via the TasRacing website. So it's tasracing.com.au, and you can get all the race replays, all the form guides. You got the head-ons, you got the stewards' visions, and you can get the black book and the SMS service to receive those alerts. So either email or SMS for your black book, so you never miss a thing. And they do a great little job down there in Tassie promoting their product, and it runs parallel to lots of good meetings like Hong Kong and Moonee Valley and stuff like that. So great way to dip your toe into a small pool of horses and back winners, or you can just run off Nico's coattails and have a fill up. It's easy stuff. Donnie's best last week was Vindicta. Thought it went very, very good for a second placing. It was $10 in $6, pretty well backed. What's he got this week?
G'day, Scooty and the boys. Pretty keen this week. The best bet comes up in race 5 at Rosehill. It's called Lady Camelot. Like the way it's come back in its trials, it looks a much stronger filly. I think it can take the lead. The 6 metre rail at Rosehill always favours on-pace runners, so it should lead and be strong late. There's a couple of nice trialers throughout the field, so the $2.05 on offer at the moment. We might drift. We might get something closer to $2.50, $2.60, and it would be a great bet. So the best bet is race 5, Lady Camelot. The each way play comes up at Eagle Farm, race 5, capital C. First up was a Forgive. It just didn't handle the track condition at the Sunshine Coast. Its ratings and its runs to the end of last prep can win this. It's already been 20 into $10, but I still think there's a fair bit of value at the $10 mark, and it may even jump favourite if they use last campaign's ratings as its base. So I think it's a great bet. It handles the Eagle Farm. It should run a hold. So the two best: Rosehill race 5, Lady Camelot to win, and each way on Eagle Farm race 5, capital C. Cheers, boys.
Interesting there. Donnie's gone for Rosehill race 5, number 6, Lady of Camelot. So
Yeah, we talked about it a lot, didn't we? I'll probably mark it favourite personally, but certainly not anywhere near as short as it is. And, for the lead 6 metre rail, it's got a lot in its favour. As again, we talked about, just concerned that it's found a super strong race potentially. So hopefully it's off and gone.
Interesting one, capital C, who he's his each way play, and he sort of just referenced his last preparation and some of the ratings that's popped out there. So I think it's been $15 into $10 already. Capital C, that's in race 5, Eagle Farm. Interesting one. A horse that I talked about last week was Captain Finkel, who I thought might not be suited on the 10-day backup to 1,600. This is a horse I've backed early, $3 into $2.40. I sort of like it here, 1,400 metres, Eagle Farm, can take a position. We'll take some beating, this horse. It's no slouch. And then Jealous is the other horse from the Rob Heathkit yard. But it's a bit of a query runner coming off 2 sort of wet tracks. And I think it's going to be drying conditions out there on on Saturday. So be interested to see how Donny's goes there. But maybe the place option is the safest way. But he seems pretty bullish. He even said it might start favourite. I'd find it hard. I don't think the big boys will. I think the big boys will keep Captain Finkel in as favourite, especially with Orman on after two pretty impressive wins, especially 1,400 metres. I think that's a box that horse can definitely tick. But interested in to see
it's
how
a maiden too, right?
Capital C bounces back off that heavy track. So I'd be interested to see.
Classes, right? They're all coming out of maidens and maiden wins or maiden horses, and it's coming back out of Magic Mutant Cutis is behind Boom Talk and Open Handicap. So it's probably an interesting horse in that race class of Rose.
Now it's time for the TopSport Steam. As I said, 2 places last week, so I didn't quite get the chocolates this week. It's all up in my neck of the woods here, or our neck of the woods, Walt. The Eagle Farm Race 7, number 7, Brocky, $3.33 at $7. And then in the same race, we got Eagle Farm Race 7, number 15, Master Maurice, $3.44 at $7.
That looks like a chop bet, doesn't it? $3.33 at 7. So I'm assuming whoever tried to have that some sort of decent judge.
Yeah.
I don't know those horses at all.
And then Master Maurice in the same race. So it looks like they're betting around a horse from the Gollan Yard there, Brentwood. And again, it's Orman. And it was a okay first up winner over 1,200 metres. So it might be a race that we need a little bit more investigation. Race 8, Eagle Farms, next one. Race 8, number 13, Ocean Czar, $500 at $11. This race is an absolute doozy. You got one of my old sparring partners, Bet You the Crown, at the top of the weight, 60 kilos, but it's not easy this race. You got Rainbow Connection, who won at Ipswich in just a bit of a blowout run, I would have thought. Belvedere Boys has got some potential there, and
African Daisy's a pretty good horse.
Well, that's the weird one with Annabelle Neesham. It was in today at Doomben. It was barrier 1, it had James Allman. Looked an absolute gimme in a benchmark 75, and she's gone for the almost impossible Class 3 handicap on Saturday at Eagle Farm.
Obviously well in, because of, is it a handicap you're saying? Sorry, not a set. It's a plate, so what's that mean? It's a plate, set weights.
Yeah. So
it must be in incredibly at the weights, I would imagine. That Terramata form will definitely stand up in Brisbane. Robusto form, I think it'll start very short.
It was 260 today and looked at absolute auto bet up job. Race 10, number 1 is Daytona Bay, so that's $700 at $3.90. So that was the race that I previewed earlier.
Take saver.
$2.80. No, I think it's pretty well found there, lumping the big 60 kilos. So it'll be winning without mine at that price for sure. And that's the steam this week. So all Eagle Farm, which is surprising. DK, Acid Wash last week. Got the full rents.
That was good, wasn't it? Evens to 155 and over it went. One barrier was the difference. Drawing, Jay Allen drew the one inside it. She drew one outside it. So she's got to work across. He gets the camp on it. It was $3.50 to $8 though. I would have liked, I know it's Jay Carr and she's kind on him, but I'd like to have seen more vigour when she let it amble up alongside her at the 400, and then turned into a 400-metre duel home. The things had a softer run. I don't think B Shin would have been sitting there just cruising on it at the 400.
I was literally thinking that, you show those 2 replays, right? That's it.
Yeah, a brave mead and that compared to it. But anyway, so we'll tie in. We'll stick with that form line scoop. We'll go to Moonee Valley. It's Moonee Valley tomorrow night, Friday night. There's a 1,500-metre maiden there.
You love these.
Bell Inferno, number 10. So this debuted down the straight in that Acid Wash Gundaroo race. Rewards and More, who's a short price favourite, ran 3rd. It's in the night. It's run well again since in a high-rating race. This ran 4th, and they put a space on the rest. And then the other day, it was just double-figure odds. It drew awkward. It got back a bit and had total excuse run for mine around Sandown. It had that bloody cell chow laying all over it up the straight, getting squeezed up. I think it wanted the extra trip. So 3rd up, Jay Allen on. Jay Allen Road, of course, ties in again. Road Sox Nation that beat Acid Wash. I think there's no speed on paper here. Outing trip, Kieran Maher fit. This will go forward, get a good run. And I think, Bell Inferno at half decent odds too, 3 to 1 or something.
$3.90. Any thoughts here, Nico? Anyone else? No.
Is that the race the Waller horses in as well?
Ceremonious.
Yeah.
That was a slowly run race at Geelong, and it stays at the trip, and it's drawn a bit awkward. and Waller horses, I don't know if it'll drive forward, but I reckon Ballinferno can punch forward, get the map advantage and have the improvement stepping up in trip.
No, I can definitely see the angle for sure. I was probably just defaulting to D-Lane there. You get the job,
isn't it? I mean,
just the way you go at the moment, really.
I think that's
The scouts say Troy Baker had no relation to Barry Baker. A
No.
very important part of the show.
well, I think it is
Very
because I'm not saying that anything untoward
Unattached.
happening, but just need to know these things and who's working in together and all that sort of thing. Yeah. All right. So that's a wrap from the show. So it's been a long one, a good one. It's interesting to see Kieran Maher just on his own Loathsome there in the form guide. Looks a bit odd. No Eustace. Quick one. A quick quiz for you boys. Did the Hayes, the Ben Hayes, all the Hayes boys get stripped of their premiership points when they formed their allegiance or added the extra Hayes fella in?
Don't think they care because
No,
they bloody
no, I don't-
weren't in competition, I guess.
Yeah,
Didn't.
weird one, isn't it?
Because
They
they
didn't get stripped.
started at the start of the season though, so just everyone
Oh.
was at nothing, so it didn't matter. But yeah,
Off square.
that's when they came in.
Oh, it's interesting to storm and teacup. Well, at least I guess the journos have got something to talk about because no one else really cares, do they? Beautiful. All right, been a brilliant show. Hopefully you guys have got something out of it. Hopefully you got plenty of winners. Make sure you support TopSport, Punting Form, and some TasRacing. They the guys that look after us. And we'll see you boys next week, and hopefully more winners and less sick beats. We'll see you next week.